Hello everyone, my name is Amel. I'm writing a high fantasy novel and I want to share some of my tips and tricks with you. This video is going to be about formatting your novel. Pretty much everything, including the formatting, what kind of fonts you should use, the spacing, all of that in one video. So let's dive right in. I have everything written down on my iPad, so I'm not just coming up with all of this on the top of my head. Step 1. You want to do the page setup first, obviously. So the trim size should be 5.5 times 8.5. That's what I did personally. But for your novel, in all generality, you want it to be 5 times 8, between 5 times 8 and 6 times 9. Anything bigger than that will look like a scientific kind of book, and anything smaller than that will look like a diary. All right, there we go. And if you're in Pages, then you would go to document setup, and then paper size, and then you would type in what kind of size you want for your paper to be. The orientation should be in portrait, and mirror margins, yes. This makes inside margins wider for binding. So I'm about to actually get into what that means. Number 2, margins. Industry standard for 5.5 times 8.5. For a fantasy novel, often between 300 to 500 pages, you need slightly generous inside margins so text doesn't disappear into the spine. You don't want that. So let's get that fixed up really quick. Margin type, when we're going through the measurements, the top is 0.25 or 19 millimeters. The bottom is 0.25. Top is 0.75, 19 millimeters. The bottom is 0.75 to 0.85, 19 to 22 millimeters. The inside of the spine is 0.85 inches to 1 inch, which is 22 to 25 millimeters, and the outside is 0.5 inches to 0.65 inches, which is 13 to 16 millimeters. And here's a tip. In Pages, go to document setup, and margins, and turn on facing pages so inside/outside can be set separately. Number 3, I know I'm going by really fast, I'm sorry. Line spacing. Body text. 1.15 inches to 1.13 inches line spacing. Too much white space will make it feel like a school essay. Too little will make it claustrophobic. So for example, let's say you do double spacing for your whole story. For one, readers are going to notice that makes it look like I'm so sorry. Your readers are going to notice that it's so spaced out, and they're going to think to themselves, does this writer really have a lot of words, or did they just stretch out the pages to make it feel forced? And you don't want to do that, because then people aren't going to read your book, because they're going to feel like, oh, they just forced in a bunch of words to try to make the pages look longer. Nah, I don't want to read it. And plus it doesn't read right. It doesn't look good. No one wants to read an essay or even think about school when they're reading a book, you know? And if it's too squished, it will feel very tight. Plus, you know, your pages will be very less, and it's just going to be really hard to read overall. And I'm sure if you were to try and print it, the ink would like merge into each other, and then the words would just be sloppy everywhere. Paragraph indents should be 0.25 inches to 0.3 inches, 6 to 8 millimeters. Now, personally, I did 0.2 inches for my paragraph indents, and it looks really good. Choose what you want to choose. And this is a big one. No extra space between paragraphs. Novels traditionally use indents instead. Please do not add any like spacing or anything like that between it. It makes it look like you're making a science book instead of actually writing a story. No one wants to read a book where it's just space. Paragraph, space, paragraph, space. Oh my gosh. I can't stand those books. And actually, I can't say that right now because that's not a part of what I'm talking about, but I'm going to write that down really quick so I don't forget it. All right, I'm back. So, number 4, fonts and size. Fantasy novels often look best with serif fonts for that timeless, immersive feel. Now, number 1, do not use Times New Roman. Don't do it. Do not do it. It's literally gonna feel like you're writing a nonfiction book. It's gonna feel like you're writing something from the 1920s, and just please don't do it. I'm begging you. Like, it doesn't look good, and it just feels, I don't know, it's just kind of weird. And it also shortens like the amount of pages you have as well because of how small the font is. So the recommended fonts that I would say that you should use is Garamond, which is what I'm using. It's classic, elegant, and fantasy friendly. Palatino, it's slightly wider, so that gives you more pages. Georgia, good for readability, slightly modern. And Baskerville, very literary. So if you really want your book to look like a fantasy book, use those. Now, please do not use any fonts that would go for a title. So for example, Mona Lisa ICTTT, do not use that. That's for a title. Do not use Didot for a title. Do not use Domain Display. Or not, no, Didot is for a title. Yeah, so don't use that in, your main writing. And do not use, what did I just say? Oh, I can't remember, but you heard me say the other one. Do not use that one as your main words either. Now, if you want to use that for like little sections, like for example, you have a picture of a scroll, and on that scroll it has words, by all means, go ahead and use that. But in your entire story, like your main writing, don't do that. It's going to be really hard to read, and over time, people are not going to want to read it. But another thing is if you want to use it for, let's say you have a flashback chapter, go ahead and use it. If you have a foreshadowing chapter, go ahead and use it. Just stuff like that, go ahead and use it. Really good. Now, body text size, 11 point for Garamond and Garamond. Baskerville, 11.5 to 12 points for Palatino and Georgia. Yeah, I did 12 points for Garamond because it looks better. 11 point is just, it joins your pages and it looks really small. But if you do 12 point, that's fine. Just don't go over 12 point and don't go under 11 point, because then it's either going to look too small or it's going to look too big. And for chapter titles, 16 to 18 points, often centered, bold, or small caps. So what I did, for example, was I took my title and I said chapter 1 space underneath, and underneath that I put the name of the chapter, and one of them, the first one actually, is First Light. Now, even though I don't have like chapter 1 above it, it doesn't matter, it still works. So I did that, and that perfectly worked really nicely. And what you want to do is you don't want them to be the same size. So what I would recommend is putting the chapter 1 or chapter 2, chapter whatever, in superscript or subscript, because that will make it look smaller, but not to the point where it's too small or too big and you just don't know which one to use. Just do that and it'll work perfectly. And also always center it. And if you're not going to center it, then definitely put it on the left side and then add a space underneath it and then continue writing. And another thing is, I'm so sorry, when you are writing your chapter title thing, right, what you want to do is on that page where it says chapter 1, you want to add 2 spaces above it, and that'll make it really pop. I don't know how to explain it, but it works. Yeah. Now, number 5, headers, footers, and page numbers. Running headers, odd pages, right hand, author name or book title, and even pages, left hand, chapter title. Now, I didn't do that, but you can do that if you like. It looks really good. I just didn't choose to do it. Page numbers, bottom center or bottom outside corner. I did top center because I want to be different. So yeah, you choose whatever you want. First page of each chapter, no header, footer, or page number. I didn't do that. Definitely gonna edit that. I didn't do it yet. I promise I'll fix it. Okay, chapter 6. I meant number 6, chapter opening format. The chapter title should be centered 2 to 2.5 inches down from the top margin. Spacing after title should be 1 to 2 blank lines before the first paragraph. Told you. First paragraph, no indent on the first line, only for the first paragraph of a chapter or after scene breaks. You got that one. And another thing is when you're writing a story, let's say you add a little space between it or you add a little divider, then after that divider, you have to remove the indent on it because it's technically a new chapter, but it's not actually a new chapter, and so you're just required to do that. And plus, someone's gonna get on to you about that. Like, someone reads your book and they're gonna be like, this isn't right. So you might as well just do it, because who has time for that? Oh my gosh, it keeps making noise. I'm so sorry. Spacing after title, 1 to 2 blank lines. Yeah. Number 7, scene breaks. Use either one-centered ornament, like shapes, or 3-spaced asterisks. Axes, the little stars. Leave one blank line above and below. So I didn't exactly do that. I actually made like the divider like really big, so I'm gonna fix that. And that's gonna take a while, but I'm fine with that. Do not do what I did. I just wanted to be different so bad, and I said that's not how that works. Now, other pages to include: the front matter. Number 1, the title page. Number 2, the copyright page. Very important. Do not let anyone steal your book. Chapter number 3, dedication or epigraph. Optional. I mean, literally, all you have to write for your dedication is like, thank you to everyone who's reading this book, and then add a little space, and then make a little line, and then put your initials. And it doesn't even matter. Like, literally, dedications, even if it is optional, they're so important, and it really makes your reader feel good to know that you actually care about them, or you care about somebody like your mom or someone dead, or even your dog, and you're like, to my dog, Barney. And then you put your initials. That always works, and people really want to read your book. I don't know what it is, but when I read books that don't have like dedications, I'm like, I don't want to read this, because they obviously don't feel grateful for anything in their life. So yeah. And then number 4 is table of contents, optional for fiction. Please do the table of contents. I mean, seriously, that shouldn't even be optional. That should not be optional. Like, you need the table of contents. If you don't have the table of contents, how am I supposed to know where everything is, And then when I start reading the book, let's say I forget to add a little sticky note at the top where it says page whatever. And so now I'm like, well, where was I? And imagine if I don't have a bookmark or whatever, and I remember the name of the chapter, but I don't remember which page it was. So now, because there's no table of contents, I can't get back. I'm just throwing the book in the trash. Please don't do that. And then the back matter, about the author, acknowledgements, and a sneak peek, which is extremely optional. I didn't really do a sneak peek, but it was kind of like there are more books to come, and that was pretty much it. But then the acknowledgements, they're actually pretty important if someone helped you. If you didn't have an editor, or you didn't have the oxygen helping you write, then you don't really need acknowledgements. And then about the author, that's important. And no, you do not have to put a picture of yourself in the book, just so you know. You can just say your name. And no, you don't have to say that you live in Pennsylvania with your 3 dogs and your non-existent husband. You don't need to do that, okay? You can just say Amel. Like, I'm just gonna use myself for an example. Let me show you what I wrote. Oh, thankfully I'm already at the bottom, so you just scroll down, and I have a little picture of me with an afro on my head. I feel like a little princess. Look at me. Look at me. Okay, whatever. So, about the author. Amel has always loved getting lost in stories, whether through books, movies, or daydreams. Growing up surrounded by fantastical worlds sparked a passion for creating her own, and writing high fantasy novels became the perfect way to bring those dreams to life. When she's not writing, you'll find her exploring nature, crafting, or sharing her love of fantasy. She's passionate about building worlds filled with power, mystery, and unforgettable characters. And that's it. And you don't even have to add the little picture. It doesn't even have to be anything long. You don't even have to add your last name. And actually, I want to say that when you have your name, you don't even have to add your last name. You don't even have to use your real name. You could just make up a name. And I've seen a lot of writers who make up their name, and people are like, yeah, I know this person. So if you want, you can do that. Now back to where I was. Anyway, yeah. And an example for a perfect layout for 5.5 times 8.5 is the trim would be 5.5 times 8.5 inches. Margins would be top 0.75 inches, bottom 0.8 inches, inside 0.9 inches, and outside 0.6 inches. The font would be Garamond 11 to 12 point. Line spacing is 1.2 to 1.3, I think it was. And then paragraph indent should be 0.28, even though I just did 0.2 because I don't care. Headers would be author name and chapter title, and page numbers would be bottom center or top center, whichever one you'd like. And yeah. Now for the extra stuff. My brain is not really working right now, so I'm gonna try and think of anything that I can think of. I'm gonna write it down in this Do It With Gratitude book. This is not ASMR, I'm sorry. And I will come back to you. Also, I just want to add that at the back of your book, you can also do a couple of things that I did in my book. And let me turn on my tablet because I don't know why I didn't think to just turn on my tablet while I had the chance. If your book is like really complicated, like mine is, you can have your own conlag, which is a made-up language that you make up by yourself. And that's really cool. So I did my acknowledgements first, and then after that I did pronunciations. So my pronunciations are for artifacts and elements, character names, lands and locations, languages, races, and worlds. I have a lot. And then I did my languages first, and I did the name of the language, the nickname for it. So for example, I'm gonna say one of them, which is my least favorite language. Elendara, Karivanatung's. I can't even speak my own language. And then I put the origins, and then after the origins, I did the translations. So I have, first for the translations, I'm just gonna show you because I'm not saying this. Can't see it. But anyway, what I had is my language first, my conlag first, and then I put an M dash, and then I translated it to what it actually is. Always make sure you know exactly how to write your conlag, because if you don't, how are you supposed to use it? Okay. And then you can also have a link to how you're learning it and whatever, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter, whatever you want to do. And then after that, I did races and species. This does not have to be long at all. Like this, I literally have the name of the species, and then underneath it, I have the height, appearance, lifespan, culture, abilities, and origin myth. And they're literally all just one sentence long with every single one. So height, 1 sentence. Appearance, 2 sentences. Lifespan, 1 sentence. Culture, 1 sentence. Abilities, 1 sentence. And origin myth, 1 sentence. Do not go overboard. You can if you want. It's your book. But if you're a first-time writer, please don't go overboard. You're gonna make yourself go crazy, like I did, and you're never gonna want to write again. But yeah, worlds are next, and one of my planets, which I'm not gonna give away because I'm not gonna tell you my story because you need to buy first. I have 2 worlds, and the first world, I'm just describing it, so I'm talking about what it's about, and the first things I do are the name, explaining it, the world traits, flora and fauna, and then lands. And then the name of the lands, the meaning, the translation name of the land, and then what is also known as. And then underneath that, and then I also have like the before restoration, after restoration, if it depends on like the land. And then underneath that, oh yeah. After I have the also known as part, I'm just describing the place, how it looks, or if you're doing it before the restoration or before the fixing or whatever it is that you want to call it, before the sundering, because that's scary, is what one of mine is described as, is where you're just talking about like how it looked before the destruction, and then you have the next part where it's after the no. I put a part before the restoration and then a part after the restoration. And then, getting into it, I just cracked my neck, I don't know if you heard it. I did legends and lore, and then spiritual meaning, common spiritual sayings. There you go. It's actually really good for the story. I don't know why. I'm not explaining it right now. My glasses down here. I mean, I have so many worlds, and then like it takes forever to write this. And then my favorite part was currency and trade. The only reason it was my favorite part was because it only took like 20 minutes to do. But anyway, for my currency and trades, I just described like, in the land of I'm not telling you, the economy is woven through a delicate system of coins and tokens, each carrying its own weight and value in history. From the glimmering I'm not telling you to the meek I'm not telling you, these currencies help the beings. I don't call them people, I call them beings because they're not humans, and people is for humans. These currencies help the beings trade everything from everyday goods to rare and precious resources like stardust. And then I have the tokens and coins, so the names of the coins and tokens. And then I have relative value and pricing, so I have the coin name and then the approximate value in one of the coins, and then usage, so what it's used for. And then I said stardust and its value, a small vial, a medium vial, and a large vial. It's all very simple. And then you have the author's note. So the author's note is just, it's not like the acknowledgements, because the acknowledgements are more like just, because the acknowledgements are just like thanking the people who actually were physically helping you with the story, or not like always physically, but also helping you online with the story. But the author's note, more specifically, is used for just thanking who read the book. So I said, first off, thank you. I'm just gonna read the first paragraph. So, author's note. First off, thank you. Seriously, thank you. Whether you picked up this book because, okay, I'm saying this all wrong. Author's note. First off, thank you. Seriously, thank you. Whether you picked this book up because you're a huge fan of high fantasy, were drawn in by the cover art, or maybe someone nudged you and said, you have to read this. I'm genuinely glad you gave it a chance. Writing a story is a wild ride in itself, but having someone actually spend their time reading it, that's where the real deal happens. It's a gift I never take for granted. And I'm literally being so legit right now. Like, if one of you pick up my book, I'm gonna be heaping, hopping, happy. Okay. And also, I'm not gonna say just yet. I need to publish this video on YouTube first, and then I'll get into all the extra stuff, because that's just how it works, okay? Anyway, those are my characters in the back. Don't worry about them. Anyway, this is the end of this video, and I'm not continuing anymore about the formatting because I've done everything I can. If you have any questions, then please ask me in the comments, and I will gladly answer you. Bye.